I'm going to teach you how to effectively strengthen and coordinate your pelvic floor so you can do so with confidence. I'm going to grab my towel roll here. I recommend rolling it up so it's a small towel roll like this, and you're going to be sitting on it lengthwise so that you can have feedback throughout your pelvic floor. I want it to be in contact with your vaginal opening as well as the anal opening, because when we're practicing our Kegel, we are working throughout the entirety of the pelvic floor, as well as wanting to notice what is happening between the two sits bones. That's what this towel is here for, to give us that feedback. As we demonstrate, I'm going to turn profile so you can see a little bit more clearly how I'm moving and coordinating. So I'm sitting on my towel roll, and we're going to go through this Kegel practice together. Phase 1 is going to be starting to invite that breath awareness and noticing what our pelvic floor is doing in that process. So first, when we take that breath in, I want you to think about breathing space between your two sits bones. This is going to create that length of the pelvic floor, and you should feel it gently melt down into the towel. Reflexively, when we breathe out, I want you to think about drawing your two sits bones together to hug around that towel as you blow air out, as if you are blowing out candles. There should be a little bit of energy in that exhale. So practice that here on your towel with your feet flat on the floor. You're going to inhale, think about inviting that space between your sits bones, letting that pelvic floor fully melt. And then exhale, creating a gentle contraction of those two sits bones towards each other while you pretend to blow candles out. Once again, inhaling to melt that space between your two sits bones. Exhale to draw those sits bones together as you blow your candles out. That's phase 1. And yes, this takes a lot of mental coordination. So if this already feels a little bit challenging, know that you're not alone. Again, with practice, this will become more automatic. Part 2 is going to build off of that breathing pattern. And now we're going to add a little bit more of a conscious lengthening and a little bit more of a conscious contraction with each phase of our breath. So again, as we inhale, I want you to think about that space that you're generating between your two sits bones, but also inviting some length and relaxation through the back portion of our pelvic floor towards your tailbone. Tension in this back portion of the pelvic floor is really common. I want you to think about really relaxing that anal sphincter on your inhale to really feel that full lengthening into the towel. On your exhale, I want you to think about a gentle contraction from your tailbone towards the midpoint of your two sits bones, and then continuing that energy of drawing the sits bones together and pulling that pelvic floor up towards your pubic bone. One more time, inhaling to create that space and length. Exhale to contract and lift as you blow your candles out. And then part 3, we're going to add on now, which is the lower abdominal connection portion of your Kegel. So I'm going to put my pelvis down here because I want you to take your hands and place them across your low belly. I like to have my two front hip bones right across the edge of my palm here, and my fingers are going to come towards center. Now we're going to do everything that we just did in step 1 and 2, but now as you inhale, I want you to generate space across your abdomen as if you are creating space between your two front hip bones, and you should feel your belly expand into your hands. You should also similarly feel that expansion down into your pelvic floor, melting into the towel. Now on your exhale, as you blow your candles out, there's that lift of the pelvic floor as well as a contraction of drawing your two front hip bones towards center. This creates that extra final lift with the pelvic floor because our low abdominals work directly with our pelvic floor to generate that support. So once again, we inhale to expand the belly. Exhale to draw the belly back towards center. Inhale, generating that expansion here as well as expansion down into the towel. Exhale to draw the belly as well as that co-contraction of the pelvic floor to lift up. So again, practicing these components all together eventually is that full coordination piece that I mentioned throughout the video. We need this mental training to go with the physical training of our pelvic floor and our core team to really be able to help all of those teammates work together. As this becomes more automatic, then the next work where we take this to is into real life in motion.